Hello everyone and welcome back to the Roundup. I am your host Kendall Valenzuela and I am so excited because today we're going through ESPN ADP misprices, we are going through wide receiver rankings and tiers, and I want to introduce you to FantasyLife Plus, so let's get into it. There are 4 players that you need to know about before you go into drafts because their ESPN ADP is completely mispriced when you compare them to FantasyLife rankings, so let's go through those names. So this article is live at FantasyLife.com and written by yours truly, so make sure you go and check it out. But I really like looking at the different ADPs across different platforms. When we're talking about Yahoo, ESPN, Underdog, I think it's really important before you go into your home leagues, your redraft, whatever you're doing this season, to make sure you go and look at the differences because it can help you in those draft rooms. So today I was comparing ESPN ADP and FantasyLife consensus rankings. So as you can see right here, the first name I want to talk about is Jalen Waddle. ESPN ADP of 48, FantasyLife consensus ranking though of 27.5. So we understand here, Jalen Waddle is the wide receiver 2 behind an absolutely amazing superstar athlete in Tyreek Hill. We know who the true wide receiver 1 is, but if we had Jalen Waddle on a lot of these other teams, he would be the alpha wide receiver 1. So when we look at Jalen Waddle, I understand too, if people are a little bit lower on him, you're looking at his potential output the last few years and how his fantasy points have gone down. We can see in 2021, 15.5 points per game, 2022, 15.4, and 2023, you're looking at 14.2 points per game. But I will say, Tua Tagovailoa led the league in passing yards last season, so this is kind of one of those offenses that I really want to have a piece of. And again, Waddle had some in-game injuries last season, so big shout out to Dwayne McFarland because if you take out those 3 games, he actually averaged 15.6 points per game with a 26% target share. So I just think this 20+ gap between ESPN ADP and our FantasyLife rankings is just way too big. If you're drafting on ESPN, make sure you scroll. Make sure you scroll because you're still going to find some value with these guys when you're comparing them to Underdog, to other ADPs. So I'm going to draft Jalen Waddle in this range almost every single time. The next guy I want to go through is Kyle Pitts for the Falcons. Now I know, please do not turn this off. I know Kyle Pitts has burned us before in the past, but he has an ESPN ADP of 75, FantasyLife consensus ranking of 59.8. And here's the thing, he has a brand new quarterback. He has a brand new coaching staff around him. And I think personally, when you look at this coaching staff, Raheem Morris is going to be a great head coach. But then I think their new offensive coordinator in Zach Robinson is going to help this team thrive in fantasy because as I wrote here, he is from that Sean McVay coaching tree and he is also really similar systems with Kevin O'Connell from the Minnesota Vikings. So here's the thing, I know that we have been burned by him in the past, but the one thing that I wanted to go through here is that he is only still 23 years old. He is coming into one of the best situations that he's seen, and he's already proved that he can do it. We remember his rookie season. There's a reason why we continued to draft Kyle Pitts is because we saw what he could be. I think this is the season that he can do it, especially when we're talking price and value, especially when you're getting him around pick 75 on ESPN. In other ones, he might be really expensive. He is the tight end 6 for FantasyLife, but if you're able to get some value on him, I think he is a great pick. Now I want to go through some wide receiver rankings and tiers from Dwayne McFarland. This article is live at FantasyLife.com. Let's go through some of the guys that you should be targeting heading into the 2024 fantasy season. So one of the more interesting tiers that Dwayne McFarland put together is this tier 11, prime and aging wide receiver 3s, because we are all going to be in a situation where we need to figure out where we go after we get our first 2 really good wide receivers. Where should we pivot to potentially? And this list includes Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, Marquise Brown, Keenan Allen. But I think this list specifically, when you look at their age and their prime, post-prime, and decline, this is where it really gets interesting. Michael Pittman Jr. is someone that you probably are going to want to target. He is in his prime right now. Same with T. Higgins. T. Higgins now, the news this week was that he is not going to get a long-term deal done with the Cincinnati Bengals. That might have been something that we saw coming, but it's really kind of a prove-it year for him, and then he will be a free agent in 2025. So we should expect, or at least personally, I think we should expect big things from him because he is really going to want to prove it to get that next contract. The Bengals, they just have to pay, Jamar pay Joe Burrow, it's getting expensive there. So this could be the last time we see T. Higgins with the Cincinnati Bengals. Then you get into it, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, all post-prime in their age. You've got Marquise Brown in his prime and Keenan Allen potentially on the decline. So I want to talk a little bit. We just did Michael Pittman and T. Higgins, but I think Marquise Brown is a really interesting name when you get to him. He has scored 14.3, 13, and 9.6 points per game, and we know that he was not having a great fantasy season last year. It was very, very, very obvious, but I think when you're able to put him into an offense like the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes leading the way, again, that's another offense that I'm going to want any piece of. And this is a really interesting wide receiver room as well, right? They have Xavier Worthy, the rookie coming in. Rashee Rice, we still have no idea what his suspension is going to look like, so you could have really big boom weeks from Marquise Brown, and I think he also brings that potential deep ball threat back to the Kansas City Chiefs, something that they've missed a lot in these past at least one season. But in 2022, he averaged 17 points per game when he and Kyler Murray were healthy for 7 games together. So I still think I like this call out a lot because he is still in his prime and he gets a really great opportunity being with Patrick Mahomes. So if you get into this range and you're unable to get the two that we talked about before, Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, I think that Marquise Brown is a super solid guy to go ahead and target. Now I want to throw it to Matthew Berry so he can tell you all a little bit more about FantasyLife Plus.
You know, when I started Fantasy Life, I had one mission in mind, really just one: fantasy football and sports betting for all. And what started out as just a newsletter has now grown into a full-fledged media company. And here I am to tell you we're ready to evolve yet again. I'm introducing FantasyLife Plus. It's a premium product built upon a suite of fantasy and sports betting tools to take your game to the next level. I know, I hear you, really, Barry, a premium product? Okay, I understand, but get this. Our mission has not changed, right? Our newsletter will forever remain free. All of our expert analysis, free. And we will still provide sets of fantasy football rankings for free. Everything you need to be a great fantasy football manager, you will still be able to do for free at FantasyLife.com. But hey, if you really want to level up, then FantasyLife Plus is for you. FantasyLife Plus will introduce new tools like our Draft Champion, customizable rankings, site-wide league sync integration, player prop models, game models, DFS pick'em builders, and so much more. Seriously, just check it out. Go to FantasyLife.com to learn more. And as always, may your trades never be vetoed, may your flex plays always work out, and may your Monday Night Miracles always come through.
Thank you for watching the Roundup today. I'm so excited to be back with you. Make sure you go to FantasyLife.com, go subscribe to that newsletter, go check out all of our free articles, and make sure you check out Fantasy Life Plus, Tier 1 and Tier 2. It is all right there for you at FantasyLife.com.